What's going on, you beautiful people? It's your boy Vin in the house. Okay, let's see here. We got to do our technical checks, make sure everything is good, technically speaking. Hope you guys are doing good today. This is day three, dear listener. Let me see here. Yep, the mic is good. Let me turn down these sound effects, though. All right, guys, I think we're okay. What in the world is going on? Hey, how's it going? Shout out to big homie Larry. Shout out to big homie Falco. Falco, were you able to complete your mission? All right, guys, we got some stuff to talk about today. I don't really have an agenda. I just wanted to come chill with my people. You know what I'm saying? Helena, I texted you like an hour ago that I was just about to jump on. So if you don't show up, I understand. It's all good. We'll talk later. What is everybody doing, y'all? How y'all doing? What's going on? This is an open forum. You can literally ask me anything you want. Let's see here. Hello, Vinensori. What's up, person? I don't think I've seen you before. Guinevere88. What's up? Good to see you. Guinevere, yo, I remember reading, what is it, Arthur and them joints. I had just dropped off. I had just landed in, what do you call it? The Bronx, South Bronx. And I'm reading Arthur and all that jazz, and like Guinevere. I had a gigantic crush on Guinevere, even though I'd never seen her before. But you know, it's Arthur, whatever. So shout out to you. Trying to do okay on week 4 of Limbo. What do you mean by Limbo, bro? What are you talking about? I mean, we're gonna get into the Trump stuff and the Muhammad stuff. Damn, I'm trying to find out where my daughter's buried in Oklahoma. Dude, you lost a daughter, bro? I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I don't remember ever hearing that from you, bro. Damn, that's horrible. That's really, really terrible. As you guys can see, you guys can ask me anything. Nothing is really off limits. That's kind of what I'm rolling with today. So we're gonna put that joint up there. Bada bing, bada boom. So you beautiful people can know to ask me any question you would like. I got scammed on the phone at work, and they suspended me. Holy smack. Pending firing. I got the union at my back, but I'm left not knowing. I fled from... Damn. Okay. Okay, my girl showed up. Good to see you, Amy Lee forever. I come to you on this blessed day carrying the good news. Metal is still alive. Get yours at 1-800-BUY-FO-GOLD. Metal is still alive for sure. Do you think Jesus will prevent Israel from rebuilding the third temple and resuming sacrifice? I think if Jesus has any mercy left for those people, he will stop it from happening. If he doesn't stop it from happening, then that would truly mean that he has pretty much written off those people. So I hope that doesn't happen. Good question. Emily in this bitch, good to see you, girl. You know the boogies are coming back. They're coming back. I just got to make sure I set up a good schedule here. You know what I'm saying? Get it going good. You know what I mean? So I'm good. I'm glad to see you. I ran into Pony, another Bible boogier, yesterday. So that was pretty badass to see you guys. Great question, Rusty. I agree. That was a really, really good question. My aunt might lose her job, and I'm struggling to find work with my bachelor's degree. Please pray for us. Okay, Jesus, right now, I'm not even going to say, hey, I'm going to pray for her or him or whatever. He's in a bad financial situation. They're in a bad financial situation. There's a lot of my friends in bad financial situations for whatever reason. I pray that you would miraculously come through, get this guy a job, get this guy money out of nowhere somehow, and that he would come back and report to us within 5 days that God did something for him. Amen. I want you to come back and tell us if something happened within the next 5 days, bro. Greetings, Enki of the B-roll. Good to see you, buddy. I think questions like that couch politics and religion are intellectually dangerous. I actually agree with that. It is intellectually dangerous. No doubt about that. Jesus was a dangerous guy. That's why they crucified him, right? Guess there's no metal shortage in the Strait of Hormuz. Did Bibi actually say that Jesus was not strong enough against Genghis Khan in his latest statement on Iran? I hope it's AR garbage, because what a fuck thing to say. Yeah, we got Ben Webb in here. You guys know that if I see Ben Webb in here, I'm going to be mega happy. Morning, I left a message on the PDF file, about to go to bed. Got to be in church in 5 hours. Yeah, you did. You talked about Aisha being 9 when he consummated the relationship. Yep. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. Yes. Enki from the planet Nibiru wants us to have a good day. People are stealing fuel from parked trucks in AU. Wow, that is insane. I'm doing really good today. I finally got hooked up with Amy Lee Forever again, which was difficult because I had been texting her. She'd been ignoring me, so she finally hit me up. So that's why I'm all, So, yeah, I had a good day. I had a really good day. Yeah, let's talk about the, what do you call it? The big homie. The big homie, Netanyahu, he said something about Genghis Khan and Jesus or something like that. So I wanna check it out. Check it out now. I think there it is right there. It's only 1 minute 15 seconds. Let's check this out. All right, here's Bibi talking about Jesus and Genghis Khan. Let's check it out.
Also wrote The Lessons of History, very brief, 100-page book, in which he said, well, history proves that, unfortunately and unhappily, Jesus Christ has no advantage over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good. Aggression will overcome moderation. So you have no choice. If you look at the world as it is today, you have to be blind not to see that the democracies led by the United States have to reassert their will to defend themselves and to oppose their enemies in time while there's still time, before the jarring gong of danger wakes them up and wakes them up too late. This is where we are now. The fact that people don't see that, the fact that a lot of the news media are harking on a lot of fake news, but also a lot of short-sightedness, and do not see the historic period and the historic struggle that we are engaged in now, doesn't obviate these truths.
Okay, so that's what he said. I'm not mad at what he said, actually. And I'll tell you why I'm not mad at what he said. Because he is not a Christian. Right? He's not a Christian. So, of course, from his vantage point, Jesus didn't rise from the dead. So from his vantage point, Jesus was like a nice guy hippie who was trying to show everybody a different way, and then he got killed for his trouble, which demonstrates that although Jesus was a great sort of moral example and utopian, he was kind of naive. and he got killed for his trouble. And in the real world, this is how you overcome evil, right? So if a person doesn't believe that Jesus rose from the dead, I can understand why he would say that. Now, Genghis Khan is an interesting figure to bring up, because Genghis Khan, I'm pretty sure almost 100% of the battles he engaged in were wars of choice and wars of expansion of his kingdom and his territory. And so it's very convenient to use Genghis Khan as a foil to Jesus Christ, because the fact of the matter is, the post-World War II consensus and that whole ideology, a lot of that really, and this is my personal theory, a lot of the post-World War II consensus are countries influenced by Christianity. These are Western nations influenced by Christianity who are trying to be better than what they actually are as people. That's what it looks like to me. And so I think what's happening here is we're seeing this sort of naked expansionist, we're going to take over Gaza, we're going to take over this. And then on the American side, you hear him talking about Greenland, you hear him threatening Cuba, you hear him threatening Iran. And really, if we really wanted to get into it, the true motive, in my view, about Iran is making sure that the BRICS alliance never occurs, is what it looks like to me. When I look at what we did with the Russians and the Ukrainians, instigating that conflict and then destroying Nord Stream 2 so that Europe would be a complete client state of ours. And we saw that Exxon and Chevron shot up immediately after we destroyed Nord Stream 2. That's all of that is so that these countries, that would be Russia, I think China is in BRICS, Iran, and India, if they were to come together, then we would have a bipolar world, meaning a world in which America is one pole of influence and things like that, and then the BRICS would be another one that could compete with us. We're trying to make sure that that never happens. So we're systemically going by and instigating trouble with these nations, or just bombing them as we're doing. And so, like, we're trying to pretend that there's some sort of virtue behind what we're doing, because we still have the shadow of Christianity influencing us, and we're trying to pretend that we're like a Jesus-like nation, right? When in reality, we're expansionists, and the Israelis are obviously expansionists. It's obvious to me that the Israelis want a sort of unipolar sort of hegemony in the Middle East. They want to be America, Middle East, where everything goes through them. Just like America has this sort of hegemony over the entire planet. And because we're friendly with them, their hegemony and us being their only competitor, right? So that's, in my view, that's what's happening. And Netanyahu, when people are starting to see all these terrible things happen, you now have to justify it. The main reason I don't have a problem with Netanyahu is because most evangelical Christians hold to this doctrine in practice, even if they won't come out and articulate it. Biblically speaking, the children of Israel weren't even supposed to have a standing army. I have had to have moderated debates with Christians just to convince them that they're not allowed, from a New Testament perspective, to kill a home intruder. Okay? So the other reason that I'm not offended by what Mr. Netanyahu had to say is because he doesn't believe in the resurrection. But these Christians who claim that they do and claim that they believe in the New Testament actually agree with him, if not full-throated agreement, definitely in practice. Here is what the Bible actually says about these kinds of situations, and I actually think it's important to see what was written to the first Christians, and we can compare whether or not that matches with what Mr. Netanyahu said or what current Christians are saying. It says, "Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of anyone. If it's possible, As far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Okay, so right there, we've already violated the Bible with this war, right? Because this text is saying you should take every avenue possible in order to have peace. Did we do that with the Iranians? No. They tried to talk to us. I mean, listen, when we bombed them the first time, we were in the middle of peace talks with them. We were in the middle of negotiations with them, and then we bombed them. So we have not been following the biblical injunction to do whatever you can to have peace with everyone. We continue. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends. What does he say? Leave room for the wrath of God. It's written, it's mine to avenge. I will repay. You are a human. You can only judge by what you see and what you guess and whatever. You don't know the inner workings of the person's heart. You don't know why they did what they did, and you don't know the consequences of what would happen if you take vengeance into your own hands. I'm dealing with a situation right now where I got somebody like dead to rights. All I gotta do is pull trigger. God's like, you better not pull that trigger, boy. It is mine to avenge. I will repay. I would much rather God judge my enemies than me judge my enemies. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. In doing this, you'll heap burning coals on his head. Now, what does it say? What does it say? Do not be overcome by evil, but what? Overcome evil with good. Netanyahu is saying, don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil by evil. The Bible tells us, don't be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. So, that only works to a guy like me with a resurrection. Okay, you guys that know me can pretty much put things together. I didn't have a problem with violence in my past life. I still don't have a problem with violence. But Jesus of Nazareth does. And I can't escape it. So, that's why. Good question. What is your thoughts on Islam's part in this? In this particular conflict, I gotta tell you, I feel like the Iranians are operating closer to their faith than we are to ours. The Iranians are being very intelligent about how they retaliate. They're being very surgical, and they're also practicing restraint. All of us know that there has to be Iranian cells in this country. And we just bombed their school with a bunch of girls and murdered about 170 of them, mostly girls. And they haven't activated those cells to retaliate against us. So, as far as if I'm just isolating Iran's responses and comparing it to their religion, they're doing great so far. They're doing great so far. What's up, Johnny Menoncani? Good to see you, baby. Good to see you. What's up, Emily? Glad to see you. Have a good day. We're gonna be seeing each other real soon. Bombed during peace talks, and likewise Hamas launched their attack just before Saudi was going to have a full diplomatic relations with Israel. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, I am not a fan of Hezbollah or Hamas. Either one of those guys. I'll just leave it at that. Not a fan of either one of those guys. The complete background image is amazing. The wolf you're blocking is the best part. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's pretty badass. Pretty badass. Technology is crazy nowadays, man. Some commanders are telling their troops the war in Iran will bring about the second coming of Christ. I gotta tell you guys, Are you still? Here's King Igor. Are you still a Trump tard? It's ironic the Christian right got this colonist back into office a second time, even after the federal cries after his first term. I love King Igor and his simplistic way of looking at the world. King Igor, it was actually the Latinos that were the biggest swing for Trump. It wasn't the evangelicals. I was never a Trump supporter. What I was I was never going to go with the Russiagate stuff because I thought it was bullshit, and it was. I thought it was Russophobic. I thought it was extremely dangerous, and I'm glad because years later, everybody is looking at Russiagate as the fraud that it was, but all the people that were confidently talking about that and then calling everybody who disagreed with the Russian assets get really quiet about it now. It's very interesting. Very interesting. But good to see you. Good to see you. I think what he's doing is absolutely horrible. And I think that the murder of Megan Good signaled a real turning point in the country. I mean, this is the first time that a white woman was murdered where the hard Christian right was not outraged, terrified, crazy, whatever. They were basically like, well, she gets what she gets. That moment right there to me was very, very significant because it really delineated pretty clearly where the lines were. And then ICE's behavior after that was incredible. You know, the whole he said something to the effect of, if you keep using free speech against me, I'll make it so that you'll never speak again, or something like that. He said that shit on camera. Like, that should terrify people. Because I've been in situations, in hostile situations with police, and the minute you pull the camera out, they kind of like, everything cools down. But he escalated. That's not a good sign. That means they're not afraid of anything. That means that they've been briefed that they shouldn't be afraid of anything. And that's not a good situation. Not a good situation at all. Yes, ISIS wants the now, do you think, here we go. Lesser God Lonely says, do you think we would be in a different situation if Kamala Harris had won? I don't think the domestic issues would be what they. I was just thinking about this. I don't think the civil war that's brewing in the country, I don't think that would be happening. Trump has fueled civil war in the country where people really, really hate each other. I don't think that would happen with Kamala. I don't think there would be any help for the Gazans with Kamala. We saw that already. The Iran thing is a very interesting question. I find it extremely hard to believe that Kamala would. Yeah, I find it very hard to believe that Kamala would bomb Iran like we did last summer, or do what we did right now, and what Trump is about to do, which is send ground troops to Iran. I find that hard to believe. Misha says, LOL, looks like Vin watched TYT to get news about. Well, no, I mean, I read in Reuters where our government did their own investigation and said it was most likely us. I don't think the Iranians have a Tomahawk missile. I don't think the Iranians would have bombed their own school. I definitely don't think they would have bombed their own school when there was a facility right by it. It's not, I can't buy that stuff. If you can buy it, no problem. There's a lot of lies going on in the media, so it's kind of mix and match. You've got to kind of basically guess. So if you think that that's what happened, then I'm not going to say you're crazy. I just think it's highly unlikely that it was anybody other than us. I think we'd be in a different situation domestically. Foreign might be different tactically, but we may be not an invasion. See, me and Ben like had the exact same answer. That's exactly right. Yeah, yeah. Um, Kamala would. There's no way you can convince me that Kamala would be using ICE the way that Mr. Trump is using ICE. Now, remember, Obama used ICE to great effect, but he wasn't trying to make a Broadway production out of it like Mr. Trump is. If you look at the overhead mount, the Tomahawk wasn't an accident; it was the same dead center. Oh, yeah, I know, I know, I know. There's still people trying to maintain their consciences while, you know what I'm saying? I have good friends from Dubai. They keep getting bomb emergencies a few times daily, although it's all coming from Iran. They blame Israel for everything, not even Trump. I think that, look, there's roots and there's fruits, right? When you see a tree, every tree's got roots and every tree's got fruits, right? Every fruit tree's got fruits. There's roots and fruits, and then there is the rain, right? That causes the root to grow and whatever. And I will say, in my view, relative to this conflict, the fruit of the destruction and the blood and the pain and the suffering, I believe has its roots in Israel. But I believe that that root was watered by us. And if there was a drought, that root would shrivel up. That's what I believe. So who can you be mad at? You know, it's tough to say. In reality, Pete Hegseth was a true total warrior, and he thinks the rules of engagement are for pussies. He should admit to targeting the school. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Hegseth is already kind of past that place where he like is trying to pretend that he's got some sort of morality. He's just like completely crossed over. But I think that there's people in this chat who still want to support Trump and Iran war and still want to hold on to some sort of moral integrity. So you'll see the denialism that comes about, like, oh, we didn't bomb the school. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Out of date intel is being blamed. Similar thing in the first Gulf War. Unknown colleague identified as shelters and military target. 200. Yeah, but the kind of technology that I saw that we had 10, shit, man, it's coming on close to 10 years. 10 years ago makes these kinds of errors very questionable to me. I'll say it that way. Makes it very questionable. Funny, you're losing the Tina Reddick, but the Christian right runs across all cultures. Nothing more simplistic than the Christian right thinking you were backtracking. You were supporting Trump over Kamala. I never backtracked. I never once backtracked. I thought Kamala was horrible for black people. And I thought that Trump actually showed a lot of restraint relative to Iran in his first term. And none of those perspectives are wrong. Now, on hindsight, I think Kamala would be better domestically, and I think we'd be in a worse place, not worse place, but the exact same place relative to the foreign stuff. Because I think that there's a certain timeline, and I think that timeline was going to get held by certain folks no matter what. Did you guys see Qatar halted helium production? You thought RAM was expensive already? We're in for it. Yeah. I mean, the Iranians have ways of making people suffer. And I think that Mr. Trump I think the people around him, namely Jared Kushner, I mean, he literally said that Kushner was in the inner circle that helped him come to the conclusion to bomb that place. Do what you will with that, dear listener. Do what you will with that. But I think the thing with Trump that makes things so difficult is that you have people that hate him irrationally and want to believe the worst thing about him. And because of that, it leaves them vulnerable to things like Russiagate. And the other hand, you have people that are so committed to hating Trump or so committed to loving Trump. And somehow with some people, their ego and Trump are somehow related. I still haven't figured that part of it out. But the other side with people with Trump, they get the extreme, crazy sort of devotion to him like a cult leader, right? And I think that both of those extremes are obviously not good for the country. And you become glad that we have systems like midterms and things like that. Because, look, man, if he tries to stop the midterm, I know there's people that are worried about it, and I definitely see why people are worried about it. But if he actually tries to stop the midterms from happening, I think there's gonna be some serious. I think there's gonna be some serious issues, right? I think there's gonna be some serious issues. What's it mean when I hate the right and the left, mostly just the government as a whole? I think it means that you're a person who's paying attention. I think that hate, is a word we throw around a lot that I wish we didn't throw around a lot. But especially if you're a young person, I don't know how you could be a young person and not hate the government and not hate the generations before you. I mean, to this day, if you watch Sean Ryan, like one of the questions he asks all the time is like, were we the bad guys? You got a whole generation of people now that came back, did whatever they did. And now, like, people got to deal with some real hard internal questions, right? And so the best thing about your guys' generation, the generation that comes up after us, is I'm not seeing that from you guys. You guys are very, very hard people to manipulate. We were easy to manipulate. As soon as I saw those buildings go into the towers, I said, that's it. I'm gonna kill a bunch of people. I watched Fox News religiously as a kid, and dudes running out of strikers, So it was like, boom, 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 like the towers go down, everything, fire everywhere, and then boom, you see a striker, the thing opens up, out come the Green Berets. I was like, oh man. You guys, y'all ain't falling for none of that nonsense. So I think, yeah, Jed, I knew it was you. I just didn't want to, you guys are in much better shape than we are. Sean Ryan's a great guy. Protect the children. Yeah. And it really, yeah. Trumpism as a personality is a real thing. My father worships him like he's their leader. Yeah, I mean, I think the term worship is an extreme term. But when I'm talking to Christians and I say, Jesus said this, and somebody says to me, but Trump, that's where it gets like, that's where how long until a false flag? I think it depends on whether or not there's a severe backlash for troops hitting the ground, right? I think if there's a backlash for troops hitting the ground and we get close to the midterm and it looks more bloody for the Republicans than it does already, I think something like that might happen close to the midterm. I don't know if you guys remember this. Like every midterm, there's a new bad guy, right? So, shout out to King Igor. Your Kamala views were wrong. There's not even right from an ethnocentric view such as yours. I didn't know I was ethnocentric. Gaslighting. Your responses to my comments are usually ad hominem. Uh, no disrespect to you. I don't remember who you are, but my views on Kamala were not wrong. They were uncontested facts. She did cover up information that would have exonerated a black man. She went to his trial and laughed at him while he was about to get the death penalty. The fucking Los Angeles Times had to go and advocate for him in order for him to be free. She protected the police while they sexually assaulted a young sex worker and wrote them a strongly worded letter. These are not views. These are things that actually happened. So they were trying to put her up as some black woman, rah, 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 when she had committed all kinds of crimes against our community. And we know that template because there are black people who will willingly sell out their own people for a position. And that's what she was. That's not something that's not debatable. At least in our community, it's not debatable. I wasn't wrong about that. That is true. I also wasn't wrong that Joe Biden was not fit to serve in office, right? So one of the things that has to happen is when you look at a phenomenon like Trump, you have to say to yourself, how the hell did this guy get reelected? Well, that's one argument. The other argument, though, is why did the Democrats put the country in such a situation? When it was clear and obvious that this man didn't have it, right? Democrats put us in this situation, right? So there's got to be accountability all over the place. It can't just be, oh, Trump supporters, Trump cultists, blah, blah, blah. No. If I had to deal with, I don't know, the fishback guy and Kamala, I would vote for the fishback guy. Kamala is terrible for black people. The issue is, though, that Trump is a once-in-a-lifetime terrible. I don't like using the terms Hitler or fascist or whatever, because one of the reasons is because I think what is happening here, or what could progress here, is something completely different. Something that has overlaps with fascism and authoritarianism for sure, but also something completely different. I think a lot of that has to do with technology and things like that, like Palantir, right? So there's different ways of controlling the populace without having to hurt everybody and like cattle and massacre them, right? Palantir gets us to a situation of authoritarianism that's something we've never seen before. And if we just operate from the fascist framework, I think that there's things that we're going to miss, right? So like fascism is a good template, but what is percolating here is something different. Like Palantir, for example, being able to have pretty much everybody locked down, like Homeboy was saying, like everybody's going to be on their best behavior when they're being watched, right? Things like that. Or earlier with Obama with the Verizon scandal when he was tracking Americans and violating their rights and things like that. Things like that, that kind of authoritarianism, it becomes the sort of ocean we swim in, and you know, a fish doesn't know it's wet, right? So like you got something like Palantir, and you've got 8 billion people on the planet, and they've got profiles for 40% of us or something like that. They can literally know any and everything about you without your consent and things of that nature, and there's ways to systematize that and stream that to authority figures and things of that nature. We didn't elect any of these people, much less the AI problem. So the forms of fascism and authoritarianism that are evolving in real time as we see it, it's clear that these people are trying to reorient the map. Okay, it's clear that Teal and all these other guys have their own agendas that are find their confluence with authoritarianism. But if we think that the next form of authoritarianism is going to look like, Hitler's Germany, we're in trouble. We're wrong. That's not going to happen. That was close to 100 years ago, guys. So, like, we should talk about authoritarianism, but it's this weird marriage of tech and money and insane military technology that makes the new authoritarianism a lot more dangerous and doesn't need a figurehead to maintain the population control. Right? That's one of the main differences. So when you have things like Palantir and then you have things like artificial intelligence, you don't need one kind of charismatic leader to keep everybody in line. And that kind of authoritarianism is way more decentralized authoritarianism, which kind of seems like a contradiction in terms, but can be accomplished now. That kind of authoritarianism is going to be very, because honestly, like, if it's a Hitler figure, you just shoot him. Mussolini, you just shoot him. Stalin, shoot him. But that's not what this is. That's the difference. Now, if you're planning on shooting them, there's a very, very good chance that they can find you, right? So that kind of authoritarianism, I think, is why we should stay away from the term fascist. That was 100 years ago. We got to come up with some sort of way. And the other thing is, it's been used so much and used incorrectly by the left, unfortunately, that now it's like anti-Semitism or racism, right? Yeah, sure. People roll their eyes and maybe shuts down the conversation. So we just got to come up with new terminology, new nomenclature, because I do believe what's happening is absolutely dangerous and absolutely horrible. And I don't think we're prepared at all to deal with it. Singularity will happen sooner than we think. It's sad how people, three-letter agents especially, think they'll be able to control sentient AI. Yeah, and again, it doesn't even need to get there. It doesn't really need to get there. Do you think Iran's current government will collapse and be replaced at some point? No. I think Iran's government is as strong as it's ever been. The previous leader was 86. He issued a fatwa that nuclear bombs are un-Islamic. And I don't think people understand the position of the Ayatollah. They say, oh, it's like the Pope. No. It's not like the Pope. The Pope can tell us don't bomb Iran, whatever, and we give him the finger and bomb Iran. The Ayatollah is like the Pope and the president at the same time, right? So the 86-year-old Ayatollah was saying we can't do this. Well, we just killed him and the rest of his family, and his son is next in line. And if you guys understand how Shia Islamic theology works, his son now is the one that issues the fatwa. So we don't know what his position is on nuclear weapons. So yeah, we're in a bad situation. We're in a really bad situation. It was the authoritarian right that started all of this. This is nothing new. It's been predicted for decades. Trump isn't fit to be in office, still backtracking. No, you're wrong. It is untrue that the authoritarian right started this. There's an authoritarian left. Barack Hussein Obama. Go look up the Verizon scandal, bro. Like, he violated the civil rights of hundreds of thousands of Americans. That's just a fact. Some of the Batman stuff with, what's his face? With the Joker. That was an allusion to the Verizon scandal. You remember when they went down, they had all the TVs and dude's like, I can watch everybody and we can stop the crimes. And he's like, we got to destroy this. That was all based on the Verizon scandal, bro. Like, I've always disagreed with this hyper simplistic world y'all live in where Trump bad, leftist good. Any leftist will do except for Trump, blah, 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 blah. I think that's poor logic. Think about this. I don't think we end up in Iran if we have Trump in from 2020 to 2024. We'd have been rid of him. Instead, the Democrats gave us Joe Biden, man. Hey, what about the authoritarian left who took Bernie Sanders away from people who were going to vote? I was going to vote for a Democrat for the first time in my life. They took Bernie Sanders away from us in 2016. You guys, look, you can play this left-right game all you want, but it's not helping anything. Nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? And me, I don't care. I've never backtracked. I said what I said about Kamala. Everything I said was right about Kamala. So I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not backtracking on anything. Obama would be considered right wing. Yeah, I agree. Obama would be considered right wing among most political systems. Only in America would Obama be called left wing. Fair. I agree with that. How can you say that it will survive? The majority of the leaders are dead. They're not even sure if he's alive. The majority want change. Well, old school, you don't know what the majority want over there. You know what our media tells you the majority wants over there, right? So you don't really know the disposition of the average Iranian citizen. Here's the other thing. There were a lot of people who were no fans of Donald Trump. But when they tried to assassinate him, people were angry, right? I think a bigger thing would be the reputation of Americans were that we were soft, that we were busy in our Starbucks and watching Friends, that, we had become so rich that there wasn't a fighting spirit. But that was in some Al Qaeda documents. And then they did 9/11. And you had blocks wrapped around of people signing up. And people want to go kill and fight. Like I said, when I saw the second thing hit, I said, okay, a lot of people gonna die. And I'm gonna kill them, right? So my point is that it's one thing, you're going around, you're regular, oh, I don't like the Ayatollah, he's oppressive, da-da-da. But when a country shows up and murders everybody with impunity, murders all of your leaders, and then shows up and murders a bunch of kids and says, ha, nobody can mess with us, that's gonna stoke some national pride, man. That's gonna stoke some, what the fuck? Wait a second. Who the fuck are you? Right? So you got to be careful about that stuff. You really got to be careful about that stuff. Wings of Eternal Night says, I think we right now as a people, we should be focused on each other instead of political mudslinging, be focused on building instead of tearing each other down. Yeah, man, we have to. Because we know that our government isn't going to lead us to be with each other. Our government is trying to keep us apart. Government's trying to still fuel this left-right divide as we're seeing, and you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, like we got to from one vantage point, deal with what's in front of us because it's important, right? I mean, hell, man, there could be a draft in a year, right? So we got to deal with it, and at the same time, we have to make sure that the enemy is the enemy and the enemy is identified, and that is the real issue. I don't get from talking to people that people believe that the Iranians are our enemy. Like, I haven't heard anybody, and maybe it's because I'm just talking to people in my age bracket. Salutations, Lost Hate. Good to see you, baby. I don't know if it's because I'm just talking in my age bracket, but I haven't seen anybody who hates Iranians or believes that Iranians are their enemy. Like, I hated Muslim people after 9/11. I hated people from Afghanistan. I hated people from Iraq. I hated anybody with an Arabic name or anything Islamic. I hated them. And I didn't care where they were in the world. I had to die. That was my mentality, right? So we definitely, our government is banking on the idea that we're just going to hate and we're going to do whatever and all the rest of it like it was before. And like I said, the generation that came up behind me, I'm not seeing that from them. So I got a lot of hope. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be good if we can have some elections. Our government I got no issues with Iranian folks. Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not seeing, like, I think a lot of Americans understand that these people are going to fight back and defend themselves. We can't just skirt through the world, bomb the shit out of people with impunity because we're stronger. I think most Americans are like, man. And the other thing is just fatigue, man. We just got done the GWAT. You pulled out. We pulled out of Afghanistan the way we did. Whatever, right? Like, I just think people are tired of it, man. And that was, and the ironic thing is that was one of the big things about Trump, right? The no new war stuff. That was a big thing. So I'm very happy about what I'm seeing in the country, and I think that if this man puts ground troops in there, it's going to be even worse for them. I love the Iranians, Persians. I just hate the Islamic regimes of the Middle East. I mean, if you haven't lived there, then your knowledge of life there is mediated to you through American channels. So you just have to understand that. I work with a lot of people that don't hate Iran, but are also glad we brought war to them. These are people that were staunchly anti-war a month ago. I mean, it's mind-boggling. I don't know, man. It's just it's crazy. But you know, as a Christian, obviously, I believe. Hey, what's up, Tasco? As a Christian, I believe that, you know, it's easier to hate than to love because we're born with original sin, and love is the most native attribute of God, and so it's easier to hate than to love. Yeah. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Don't want to miss anybody. Maybe 100 years from now, Iran will be friends with the USA like Japan is. I think Iran could be friends with us way before 100 years. You know, that's one of the things that could come out of this thing, is that the Iranians, to me, seem to be very rational people. I think if we get new leadership in there that has a completely different doctrine, and if we can decouple ourselves with nations that don't believe that peace around the earth is the best possible situation for everybody, you know. Is Vin reading this chat at all? Your channel subscribers know nothing about true Islam. How do you know that? There's like 400,000 of them. What do you mean they don't know anything about true Islam? Tell me about true Islam. Sabbath War Kids came out in 1970. Yeah, man. I reviewed War Pigs like yesterday or a couple days ago, and it's just mind-boggling. It's hard to be in the... I remember exactly where I was when Bush announced that we invaded Iraq. And I also remember exactly where I was when it was announced that we came after Iran. And like, my son texted me, he's off on a project. He texted me, and it was just... And I'm happy because I know he's not going to do anything. He's not going to go to war. He's not, you know, like, we've had those conversations, and glad. He's a hardcore Republican, though. And he was mystified that this happened because Trump ran on a no war ticket. And it was just crazy for him to be like, yep, this happened and I'll never forget it. I know exactly where it was. And I'm like, damn, like, it's very hard to see that history repeat itself in your kids' generation. Like, it's just, that's difficult. That was tough for me. Something people don't understand: when I say I don't like Islam, it doesn't mean I hate Muslims. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I guess it just depends on what Islam you're talking about. It's easier to hate than to love is the most Christian thing anyone has ever said. Of course you would believe that. What a heinous view. Thank fuck I'm an atheist and capable of loving naturally. Well, there's no fuck to thank, man. You can't thank fuck. You can thank God, though. My boy Ben. So, question. One of my friends and I were debating the meteorite that came down from Ohio. It blows my mind that he believed it wasn't a meteor. Does he think it's a UAP? I still don't get why some Republicans didn't see this coming. I didn't see it coming. I'm not a Republican, but I didn't see it coming. Um, the reason I didn't see it coming is one, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a heavy pressure on Trump to bomb the Iranians. We had sent a drone in his first term, and the Iranians shot down the drone because it went into their airspace, and everybody wanted us to attack one of their facilities. And Trump said, well, how many people are going to die? And they told him, and he said he called it off. The next day, I'm not kidding, Rachel Maddow did a show, and she was saying that Trump didn't bomb the Iranians because of Putin, because you remember the whole Putin, Russia. So he didn't bomb Iran because Putin picked up the phone. So he got heavily criticized for not doing that. The way he killed Qasem Soleimani was very good. It was a targeted strike, and I'm sorry, in my view, he was definitely a legitimate target. Definitely a legitimate target. Am I biased? Absolutely. But I don't care. I thought that the Soleimani hit was good because he showed a lot of restraint in the way that he killed him. So to go from that to we're gonna bomb these guys in the middle of a peace negotiation, then we're gonna murder his entire family, then we're gonna murder a bunch of girls in a school to break your will psychologically, then we're gonna send the Marines in. That's quite the contrast. That's quite the contrast. Nobody on the other side was saying if we elect Trump, he's going to bomb Iran. Like, somebody send me that clip. Nobody was predicting this. They were predicting he's a fascist, he hates LGBT people, blah, 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 blah. There was a lot of say goodbye to abortion, blah, 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 blah. But nobody was saying if we elect Trump, we're going to have a war with Iran. If somebody said that, please post it. I'll do an entire video on it because that would be amazing. I'm agnostic. I will never tell anyone that what they believe is wrong. That sounds virtuous, but I don't think that you would actually carry that out to its conclusion. I think Trump is sundowning. His inhibitions are lowered or non-existent. Plus, he's got rid of dissenting generals and replaced them with yes men, and here we are. That thing he said, did you guys catch what he said to the Japanese? When the Japanese, I think the ambassador, when they were like, why didn't you let Japan know that you're about to do this? And he's like, well, I mean, I wanted to keep it secret. You know, it's not like, why didn't Japan tell us when they were going to bomb Pearl Harbor? I mean, come on. It's like, what? Even for Trump, even for Trump, I'm like, what? That was crazy. Yeah, I mean, if there are reasons for hating his religion, I'd like to know. But yeah, man, when Trump said that, dude, even for him, that was just and it's funny because my brother had an assignment in Japan and he came back. He got me this this patch, and it's the only patch in the world because he was like, dude, they are the most respectful people on the face of the earth. They are the most respectful people on the planet. He just fell in love with Japan. I'm like, the hell, man, come back to America. What the hell? And you even see it with a guy like Shohei Ohtani. You know, they're just so respectful and honorable. They kept all the good stuff from the samurai mentality and left all the bad stuff. They're just such an advanced, progressive people. Beautiful, beautiful people. And he just goes and disrespects her. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just mind-boggling to me. Just mind-boggling. That was the Japanese prime minister. La ilaha illallah. I mean, it just. That's what I said. Even for Trump, like the filter is kind of broken, right? Like even for Trump, that was a little bit like, yo. I think this came off the heels of Venezuela. Pretty sure that made Trump more. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Smitty. You're 100% right. He sent the D boys in there. We snatched up Maduro, but this is not the same thing. The Iranians are not the same thing as Maduro, which Trump has now unfortunately fucked around and found out. If you think Japanese are respectful, you don't know anything about Japanese culture. I know, Ben. You said disrespect. You gotta be talking about Trump. Hey, Dirk, you bitch. I'm gonna text you. I got a new phone number. I'm gonna text you. You gotta text me back. We gotta finish that song, man. He knows he doesn't have to win another election, so he doesn't feel the need to. I mean, dude, you're waiting for the word to drop. Did you see that thing on Fox? Did y'all see that thing on Fox News where he started talking about the genetics of the Iranians, where he was saying like that they're genetically like not like us or something like that? It was he said something like really crazy. And of course, the Fox News guys just went along with it. But I was like, "Holy shit! Did you just bring up genetics, guy?" Yeah, somebody has a Kalshi. If you do that Kalshi thing, if you do that Kalshi thing, you should probably place a bet for 30K that Trump's gonna drop the N bomb before this is all over. I believe Islam is a false religion created by a warlord for his own selfish purposes. I about 80% agree with that. I think Muhammad had good intentions for uniting the Arab Peninsula. I think order is always better than chaos. So I don't believe it was completely selfish. I honestly look at Muhammad as Alexander the Great, right? Alexander the Great, and then you had Hellenism as sort of the philosophy that kind of came along with that. And there was sort of this ethnocentrism among the Greeks, right? That we're going to bring everybody up to where we were. And that's kind of how I see Muhammad. So there's a lot of selfishness and ego there, but I also think that there's some sort of like good motive for humanity, and that's why I gave it the 80%. Hey, Vin, it's good to be here. Well, it's good to have you here. The Noise, Ethan Noise, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. This is also true. I think people forget Trump isn't a politician, so he doesn't have any form of discretion. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. He keeps threatening to run for a third term. Yeah, I think even if he ran for a third term, he'd still lose. Because then if he ran for a third term, that would mean Obama could run and Obama would destroy him, especially now. So I just don't think that would happen. Um, where is my boy Igor? He said something. Where'd he go? Where'd you go? Ben's right. There's no God. Now respond with your dogmatic rigor. It's almost like you're a federal shill. I don't understand that one, Igor. And I also don't know how you could know there's no God either. Hey, nice to see you popping up. Yeah, Mech. I've made my return. You're gonna see a lot more of me. Somebody hit me up, was like, yo, you gotta start talking, bruh. Too much craziness going on in the world. Not true, Ben. Japanese people are very respectful to foreigners. They are, however, sexist, and then some. Only recently they introduced consent into their grape law. Women are consistently disrespected, Sally. That's terrible. So how did they define grape if they didn't have consent as the barrier? Just asking. A constitutional amendment would be necessary. Two-thirds of the states would need to vote for it. It's not. Yeah, I just I don't see that happening. It's a lot of fear mongering, and I don't think it's necessary. I think Mr. Trump. Here's the other thing, guys. I don't think that he likes the job anymore. You know, I think he took this job one to stay out of jail, and two, um, to like get revenge on his enemies. But I don't think he really likes the job anymore. I think just like with Iran, like he's trying to like he's like trying to work on an exit strategy. I really don't think he would want a third term. Historically, the Japanese have been super vicious, but we all kind of yeah. I get it. I get it. Starting ways to avoid prison. Trump would be two peas in the pod. Uh his third term would be in the form of JD. See, I don't think so though, bro. I think JD Vance. I don't think JD Vance has changed his position on Trump at all. If you look at who is mentoring him, that would be Douglas Wilson. Douglas Wilson did a series one time called The David Chronicles, and it really shows you his mindset about politicians. He's completely fine with lying and things of that nature, right? Like, and his whole argument is, I guess you have a problem with camouflage because that's a form of lying, right? So I think that JD Vance pretty much believes about Trump exactly what he's always believed about Trump, but that because Trump is going to be a one-term president, he would be the incumbent, and it would put somebody with his views in the seat of the most powerful position in the world. Now, Nick Fuentes might have something to say about that, but that's what it looks like is happening to me. I don't trust JD. I don't think that JD is has completely transformed. I mean, he said that Trump was like cultural heroin or something, right? And for somebody to from where he came from to use that language is pretty the worst of the worst. You go back hundreds of years for the Middle East, but when it's the West, you only go as far back as Obama. Not sure what you mean by that, buddy. Are you a Christian? Yes, I am a Christian. Imagine taking Fuentes seriously. I think people need to take him seriously because this is one of the things where leftists, you guys really need to think this stuff through. Just because you take somebody seriously does not mean that you respect their ideology. But it is without question that that kid represents, I don't know, 10 to 20 million people. And there's a reason that guys much richer with a much bigger reach, like Tucker Carlson and things like that, are platforming this guy. So you can say that if you want. I'm sure you didn't take Charlie Kirk very seriously either, and it looks like he had some influence that you probably underestimated. So I don't take anybody for granted in this day and age, man. Erica Kirk should run, man. Oh man, let me not touch that one. Would you vote for him over Newsom? Vote for who over Newsom? If it's between a Trump third term or Gavin Newsom, Gavin Newsom. Almost any human being other than Trump. No Republican has a gravitational pull of Trump. I agree with that. Leftists literally do not believe that there are people who have other political or philosophical opinions that form the same kind of delusion they keep. I'll let you tell it. Come on now. No way that many people think like that little fuck. I do not get it. I think a lot of people think like him. I think that the generation after us, bro, all the N word, nigger this and Jew that, blah. They don't care. They don't care. It's just like you saw with the whole Heil Hitler thing with Kanye, man. These young, they don't care. And you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad that their minds don't shut down as soon as they hear somebody say the term nigger or Heil Hitler or whatever. I'm glad about that. You've got to think at a deeper level than just having your mind shut. And I'm not saying you're advocating this. I'm just saying like having people's minds shut down because somebody said a word. I'm glad that these young people are saying, you got black people following this guy, dude. These black people love this dude. You know what I'm saying? And when you look at him and you hear him talk, I mean, me personally, I think that he's working for the government at some level. But you see him talk like he can never stay on the same idea. One day he's like, let's work with everybody. The next day it's like, get all the niggers out of America. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I do think that he's got an important voice, and I think it's very important to listen to him. Vance or Newsom? Oh, who would I vote for between Vance? Vance. I would vote for Vance because I don't believe that Vance believes in any of this Trumpism stuff. I don't believe that Vance attacks Iran. I don't believe that he does that. Um, he definitely doesn't let go all the violent J6ers. He doesn't do that. Um, I do think that his inability to influence Trump should be a demerit against him. But we can't say nobody influences Trump because Kushner certainly does. Mr. Netanyahu certainly does, but maybe he's got some help. I don't know. That's interesting. And a lot of it depends, I think, on what his messaging is going to be because they're going to ask him, how are you different from, I mean, this is the thing that killed Kamala, right? When they said, how are you different from Biden? And she went with the no daylight doctrine. Like she wasn't going to say anything negative about the Biden administration. I think if he does that, that would be a gigantic mistake because I think Trump is going to be an albatross, and I think whoever the Republican nominee is, that person has to distance themselves ideologically, um, as well as practically from Trump. So he's got to basically say, I chose to ran with him because I thought he was going to do XYZ, and I was just as betrayed as the rest of you guys when he did what he did, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It would be fun if we had Candace versus Erica. Hey, Amy, I got to talk to you offline about Erica, okay? There's a couple things I got to run by you before I talk about Erica publicly. So keep your phone around. Kamala Kamala is the dumbest person in the world. Vance could easily give an answer that distances himself without undermining the whole party. Yeah, I agree. I mean, my God, I mean that view question, I was able to come up with a better answer instantaneously, which is to say, these are the things I'd have done differently. Me and Joe were actually working on this, and he was going to present this in the second term, but he didn't get the opportunity, and I'm presenting this, and then this is how it's different. That way, you give credit to Biden, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of ways that could have been done. And the fact that she wasn't prepped for that, but I mean, honestly, you want your president to be able to think on her feet, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, yeah, yeah, it's terrible, terrible product. I'm sorry, Democrats, terrible product, terrible. Harris called Biden a racist, and he made her his VP. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Right? Like, in your opinion, changed after that? Like, I don't know. I think that is actually the key difference between Republicans and Democrats that give Republicans an edge. Whenever a Democrat comments on the party, they get effectively ousted. Yeah, yeah. That shouldn't even, the next Republican leader needs to stay off the socials. Yeah, bro. I mean, they're going to have to distance themselves from Trump. They're going to have to. And they're going to have to, he's going to have to do so. I mean, it depends on what happens with Iran, right? Like, if this thing wraps up in 2 weeks, you know, okay. But if this is still going on while the midterms are going on, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it for him. You know what I'm saying? And then, I mean, honestly, shit, man, you got a guy like Joe Kent, okay? Like, I think he's probably too young and too much of an unknown quantity. And I think that, he had two failed runs for the whatever, but he's a very good political tool. I think intelligent Republicans, if I was a Republican right now, I would be out there championing the cause of Joe Kent. Because that's your off ramp. You could say the guy's a hero and all this, and then you jump on that bandwagon. That separates you from Trump, um, and you're in good shape. Were people actually voting for Kamala, or were they just voting against Trump? I think there are a lot of people that were voting for Kamala because you want the first woman president. Who doesn't want that? I want that. Um, you that's a moment of pride for our country if we could accomplish that. I would say we kind of caught up to the Western world and felt like there was a woman that was capable of leading us. I think that would have been great, But then they gave us that woman. It's like I was insulted as a father of a black daughter. I was insulted that that was the woman they chose to possibly make the first female president. Like that would have been the most anti-feminist um thing of all time. And if you know anything about her and her upcoming and all that, it just wasn't good for women. Say it that way. The right and the left candidates are both going to be more centralized to have a chance. I mean, I don't know. I think a leftist, especially where the economy is, I think if somebody comes out with a virulent anti-war stance, and again, that Bernie Sanders Medicare for all thing, I don't know. Trump has signaled on socials that he's about ready to hand the wrap up in Iran to Israel and the Gulf states, so it could be done by midterms as far as U.S. involvement. Yeah, but he also just issued a threat to Iran that if they don't open the Strait of Hormuz in 48 hours, he's going to destroy their factories or something like that. So he does these things where he's like going back and forth. I think he just lifted sanctions, right? He just lifted sanctions, and then 2 hours after that, he puts out this crazy tweet about how he's going to destroy them all or something like that. I mean, bro is, but he's always been like that. He's always been kind of, unstable and sort of caustic. Do you play any instrument, Vin? Just curious if you have your own music. Yeah. I've got some parts of a song that I published on Instagram, and then I've got a solo that I put up on Instagram too. So there you go. I do have that, and I've got a bunch of rap songs in there, but I don't publish those because it's usually when I'm really really angry, and I say stuff that is not good to say. So I've never, I don't think I've ever published any of the rap. I published one way 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 back, but yeah. Uh, good, good evil pair. What about Marco Rubio? I've heard talk about him. Marco Rubio is a Zionist and he also he's the face, he's the architect of this war. So I just don't see how Rubio can win the presidency. Trump is America's best bet, the best president we have had in the last 60 years, and that's saying something. Well, I thank you for sharing your opinion. I'm just going to have to go ahead and disagree with you. I think the war with Iran is unconscionable. I think it's evil. I think that him being convicted of sexual assault by a jury of his peers is significant. Um, I think him releasing all the J6ers, even the violent ones, so that they could go back out and commit child molestation, among other things, I think is bad. Right. So I don't agree with you that he's been our best president. I also think domestically he's fomenting a civil war, and if he's not the main actor, he's certainly not putting any water on the fire. That's for sure. Trump has everyone was voting against Trump for sure. The election of Zoran is proof that is false. Proof what is false? Joe, you ain't black. Biden was a great leader. I don't know what kind of leader Joe Biden is. I don't think that the person that was in office was Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying? Did you finish your song? I've got a lot of songs. I've got a lot of songs. Here we go. Spitting ethnocentric black Christian right views, still spreading disinformation, spoken like a true federal shill. Rich, his demographic. Black people supported Trump. I'm liberal, not democratic. I don't know what King Igor's problem is. I'm black. I'm proud of being black. I don't know how that makes me ethnocentric. I don't know what to tell you. Little Marco. Yeah, yeah. I don't think Rubio is gonna get. I don't think Rubio is gonna gain a lot of ground. I don't think people care a lot about war like they say they do. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Americans, yeah, it's the gas prices, baby. That's all we care about in America. I mean, I think there's people here, obviously, that are different, that have different, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely. Which turtle was pissed off all the time and wore a red mask? That's Raphael, right? He was defending the pedos too. Yeah, yeah. The Epstein thing is unforgivable, right? Like, even if, my brother, I talked to my brother. I said, all right, so what? I mean, this thing is huge. He said, listen, fine. Look at the entries where somebody had to give a sworn testimony. So an affidavit, search warrant, court testimony, that type of thing. Well, when you look at that, there really isn't a lot about Trump himself, but there's a lot about his friends and whatever. The ones that are unredacted or whatever. So at minimum, all you can say is that this man fought like mad to protect his pedo friends. That's at minimum what you can say. And I have no patience, grace, whatever, for people who protect those people. I got none whatsoever. So There's that. Vin, you are better than that. Better than what, David? Better than what? I like Zoran for the most part as a person. I mean, well, I think Zoran. I think he's great. I think he's doing a great job. Ben, have you ever do a debate on any of these topics if given the opportunity? What topic? I've got a couple debates scheduled, but they're all religious debates you guys don't care about. But what debate? Fertilizer's taking a hit. Yeah. I think Rubio's chances hinge a lot on how things turn out with Cuba, Venezuela, and Iran. If any of that looks good election season, he has a chance. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. I just think that, by the time Bush was done with his second term, anybody associated with him was over with. You know what I'm saying? So the war had become so unpopular and the surge had become so unpopular, anybody associated with Bush got massacred. So I just have a very hard time thinking that anybody from this administration, especially the guy who architected this Iran stuff, is going to have a very hard time getting elected. I think any Republican's going to have a hard time getting elected, but I think those people in particular are going to have a really hard time getting elected. You think Trump's a bit salty? Robert Mueller just died. Trump posted on his True Social. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt. La ilaha illallah. Did he really say that? Hell no, I don't like Tulsi anymore. Tulsi broke my heart, man. Hell no. Nah, bro. I still can't see God having grace for potatoes. I don't know how you could follow a God that could forgive that. Well, when you recognize your own evil, look, man, there's a lot of people that have done irreversible harm to people. Potatoes are one group of people, but there's other people that have done other kinds of irreparable harm to people. No grace for them either. How could I follow a God that can be like that? I get very. Jesus told me this one time. He said, "Be careful that you're not more righteous than me." I said, "All right, okay, halas." Does Vance have to strategically distance himself from Trump if he has the ambition? Yeah, absolutely he does. At some level, he's got to distance himself from Trump, for sure. For sure. His popularity is the lowest it's ever been. It's going to be lower than Bush's was when Bush was getting booted out of the office. Your ethnocentric views has nothing to do with black pride. Now try reading my comments without gaslighting or the ad hominem fed still laugh. I get it. It's not racism when you do it. Bro, I've been so confused about you. I'm not particularly certain what point you're making. Right? Like, you're the one coming around calling me all these names saying I'm this and that. I'm the one responding to you, in my view, pretty respectfully. Where's the ad hominem, Igor? If you're okay to change to a lighter topic for a moment, the Proto Men you reacted to a while back dropped their third album. Yes! I heard about the Proto Men and their album drop. Yeah. I've got a rule that I can't listen to music, right? So, like, I can't listen to any of the music, any new music, because the reactions have to be genuine. So I'm hoping somebody can do that. That'd be great. Is that guy fighting with some other Vin? I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know. We've shot a lot of videos. I probably said something to hurt his feelings or something like that. See, that seems so arrogant if God came to you saying that. How could you say that God is arrogant, bro? What in the world? How can you say God is arrogant? That's insane, bro. Hey, Dirk, my philosophy is if I have a disagreement with God, I'm wrong. Okay? I will commend that to you. If you have a disagreement with God, you're wrong. He hates people with robot legs. Yeah, see that was the problem. It's the robot legsism. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, if you and God disagree, Dirk, you're wrong. And he's right. Unbelievable. God is arrogant. What's he supposed to do? He's supposed to come to me and say, "Yeah, man, your opinion on who I should forgive, considering the cross that I was brutally beaten and died on. You now, Vinny, you get to determine who I forgive and who I don't, who I love and who I don't, who can change and who can't. You, Vin! You're obviously fine with murder, Vin. You're obviously fine with killing folk. But you draw the line at molesting children. So I have to submit to your judgment. Are you insane, bro? Are you on drugs? He's God. We can't say that. What are you talking about? God is arrogant. What's wrong with you? Did you see the Afro where the cops did a raid on his home when he wasn't home and he did videos about the cops? He had, yeah. Then he went to court. Didn't he sue them? He sued them or they sued him, and he won, right? That's a win for free speech under Trump's America. Wait, you said the same thing about your mom a few years ago, that if you had a disagreement, she was right. Is your mom God? Well, she was God to me when I was a little kid, for sure. My mom was the clearest corollary to God in my mind. It wasn't my dad because I didn't grow up with my dad. So for me, my correlation to God was my mom, for sure. Yeah, yeah, he definitely cooked him, bro. He definitely did, bro. He got him. I thought it was just so funny to me, man. That was hilarious. Oh, that's hard. That's a word, bro. When Trump recognized his own evil, he became president. When I recognized my own evil, I became a poet. That's deep. Dirk, Dirk, you can question God. I question God all the time. But what you said was that how could you follow a God who would do that? That's not the same thing as questioning God, bro. Now you're judging God. And I have never been pro-judging God. Jesus has always run into problems with people forgiving the wrong kinds of people. I don't like them folks. Everybody knows how I feel about those folks. But I don't have the right to tell Jesus who he died for. I'm just not going to do that. Yeah, Afro Man is cause I got high, dude, for sure. Vin is correct. I've had my own coming to Jesus a couple months ago when I lost my mom last June and found out my brother was stealing financially from me and our mom. Ooh, God had to sit me down. Yeah, see? Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it, man. That'll do it. Yeah, but Afro. So yeah, he stood up to the cops, and then he had to go to court and defend himself. It was the First Amendment issue, something like that. He told me, before you cast stones, look into your own heart at your anger. That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, if they're gonna get there, they could be over there. You know what I mean? Y'all stand over there. Oh man, that's crazy. Wild, bro. It's It's absolutely wild. But yeah, man, I don't like them people. I hate those people. But how do you calm yourself? I see something horrible on X, and whenever I go crazy and post things I don't mean, this is a question for everyone. I have a 15-minute timer. I have a 15-minute timer on X. So if I'm on it too long, it'll just shut it down. That's one thing that I do. The other thing that I do is that I make sure when I find positive things to click and retweet those positive things, because that changes your algorithm. And so I've got a bunch of really positive things in my YouTube algorithm now because I keep clicking on positive things. So there's positive accounts that you can follow, and it's really good stuff, and you really get to see people at their best. I put it on the channel sometimes, try to raise people's spirits because it does mine. There's always something on there with these people that I follow that brings me to tears every day. It's just human beings just being awesome to each other. I think filling your mind with that is a good way to balance out the fact that it's really hard out there. People are horrible to each other. And Twitter is a place where you could really run into that. But I also think that if you know how to use the technology correctly, it can actually help your mental health, actually, and not destroy you. So that's a practical thing I do. The spiritual thing I do is I really, truly try to engage Jesus on this. And I really try to listen to what he has to say. And there are times when he says, you're right to be angry, and I'm glad, I'm proud you're angry. And there are other times when he says, this is your ego, right? So that's how I deal with it spiritually as well. God told me one time in a dream, boy, if you don't stop acting like the ass, I will turn you into one. Allahu Akbar. That's great. That's great. That's exactly how he operates. I love it. It's been almost 10 months since we lost my mom in June. I'm hurting, angry, and the sounds of, yeah, man. I remember, man, when my mom died, bro. And I remember, like, waking up the next day in that first 4 seconds and having it hit me like she was gone. That was difficult. That was difficult. I'm sorry you're going through that. One of my homies back in Maine just lost his mom unexpectedly. I mean, she was 66, but it was unexpected. It's weird, man. It doesn't matter how old you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mom Dukes is Mom Dukes, you know? You know, is that book, like, I Love You Forever, I Love You for Always? It starts off with the mom taking care of the, taking care of the, the son. And then it flips, and the son taking care of the mom as she's dying. I remember just coming to this country in first grade, and the teacher reading that story. I can't. Yeah. I think the reason that I hate war so much is like the when death started accumulating for me, with like people in my family who are not involved in any sort of action, you know, but just life shit happening, and you start losing people. To think that you were the reason that somebody can't read that book. And like, to know that pain and watch TV, when you hear that number, 177, whatever it was, like that, every single person that died is a universe to somebody. So it's hard for me to know you can be individually and nationally responsible for that, and then to look across and see that there's zero feeling about it. People just genuinely don't care. I posted another forum a video of these kids that we killed in Iran, and people were and there was a dude with a laughing emoji. He puts a laughing emoji there, and I'm just sitting back. Wow. And then he writes, first thing he writes is sad. And then he goes, but blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, you're the motherfucker who put a laughing emoji on this thing. What do you mean sad? Say it with your chest, motherfucker. You thought that shit was funny. I don't give a fuck what. I don't care about, oh, this guy's a liberal. The guy thinks I'm a liberal. Igor thinks I'm a shill for the government. This guy called me a liberal, communist, whatever. Right? I'm just looking at this guy like, wow, bro. Like, even if you hate me as a liberal commie, right? These are kids. These are children. I thought we were pro-life. I thought we were, And of course, like, shame on me for being, So, I mean, yeah, man, I guess it was funny to the homie. But, it's difficult. It's difficult for me to not want to lash out at people for their. We just have a, there's something, there's some sort of film, some sort of thing over our hearts that. And it's my team. And it's people who, when we were getting jammed up and our lives are threatened because we were standing there for babies, are like, yeah, man, yeah, And I'm like, man, y'all didn't give a fuck about them babies, bro. Y'all didn't care about nothing. I don't care if Benjamin Netanyahu says that, Genghis Khan is we need Genghis Khan and not Jesus. Whatever he said. I don't care. He's not on the team. But I got people on my team laughing at this shit. It's unforgivable, man. It's unforgivable. But yeah, man. So stuff like that, it's difficult, but you got your community. You know what I'm saying? and you just keep it pushing. You know what I mean? So, Vin, will this hurt in my heart where I love my mom ever get better? Well, it gets better, but it never leaves, and it's good that it never leaves, right? Like, we're hurt because we love them. So, this life is very short, man. I remember like it was like yesterday. I was bringing my firstborn into the house, and now I just got off the phone with him. And he's doing big things in the world, man. You know. So time goes by real fast. So that's how it goes. Don't think you are. I know you're approved. You're a federal shill over and over again. All right, bro. I'm a federal shill. Good thing you're here to make sure everybody knows the truth, man. When they say time heals, like all bullshit, it just changes. Yeah, I mean, time doesn't really heal anything. I do think you can heal, though. You know, like, I'm not as hurt about my mom. My brother, my little brother, is the big wound. That one I'm never going to get over. Ever. Yeah. Yeah. That one's going to. Yeah. Yeah. Never. Brother is a completely different ball of wax, man. That's something. Last year was 1 year since I lost my boy and was away from most streams for a while. Then I returned briefly, and one guy thought it would be funny to play that Mitzvah song, "I Killed Your Baby Today." Yeah. I think we had a conversation about that. Yeah, man. When my brother died, like, I didn't care about anything after that. I still don't, really. Or maybe I do. I still got it in me. Feel bad for the Iranian people. Jesus told me that a couple days ago. He said, "You know, it's a beautiful thing." He said, "I know how hurt you are, and I know you have nothing, and you still got time to pray and grieve for these Iranians." He says he loves that about me, so I hold on to stuff like that. You know, he's got a better assessment of me than myself, I guess. Finn, do you think women should be punished in any way for having an abortion? I keep hearing the argument that it's not fair for the doctor to be punished, but not the woman. No, I don't advocate for any sort of criminalizing of the woman in any way, shape, or form in that situation. I've had way too many instances where the girl wanted the baby, but the disgusting pimp didn't, or the girl was told that she'd have nowhere to live in the middle of winter, and people are trying to tell me that's a choice. That's not a choice. I'm sorry. Um, so no, I have never, and I will never, ever, ever do that. They can say it's not fair all they want, but to me, a lot of the pro-life movement has become, or maybe was always about, not even controlling, just resentment of women. I just feel there's a real, almost palatable resentment of women in the movement. And I'm not getting that from as an outsider. I'm getting that as being in the back rooms with these people who are writing legislation. Like, I knew these people. And the main person that started the movement in our state at the time was a post-abortive woman. And she used to come cry to me because all the rhetoric that was out there about women, and it's like they're like, and she's like, they have me on their shows to do their whatever, and you know she's photogenic and whatever, and great testimony, blah blah blah, and then they're doing another show where they're talking about killing people that were in her situation, and she's like, what the fuck? Now obviously she ain't gonna say that because she was a good Christian woman, but you see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's my position on it. What's up? How you been, Vin? I've been decent. I've been decent. You know, like I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. Like honestly, ever since my brother died, man, like I find it very hard to care about stuff. You know. And I think the people around me are suffering because of it. You know what I'm saying? So. Dude, a lot of times, like, I set up to, like, hang out and chill and, you know? So a lot of this is, like, I gotta be around people who are kind of get me and understand me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Larry. And a lot of you guys, like, have shared losses. Like, have been with you while you guys had your losses. You know? So, it's been a trek. You know? So, it's like, all right, well, if you're not going to quit, then what are you going to do? Okay, well, you got Amy. Reach out to her. You know? You got the channel. Reach out to them. That type of thing. You know? So, thank you guys. Y'all know who you are. Johnny Melancholy in the house, for sure. What do you think of pro-life Christians who advocate for women to be punished for having an abortion because would it be different? Well, I just think that they're, as I said, I think there's a real misogynist streak. I think they hate women. I think they're resentful. And I think that they have a, you know, just like one of my friends is like, I can't follow a God who would forgive a child molester. I think a lot of these people resent Jesus for offering free forgiveness to women who've had abortions. I think they resent Jesus for that too. So that's what I think of them. And I would tell them to repent and ask Jesus to change them. Because loving babies doesn't mean we have to hate women. We can love both. And as men, we can take accountability for the fact that we are the rulers of society. Sorry, ladies, that's never going to change. And if that's the case, we're the ones that created the environment where this is a viable option for these women. And men love to throw around the authority, but we never love to deal with the fallout of what that means. So that's what I think of dudes who hate women in the pro-life movement. That's what it looks like to me. The team doesn't turn on me, right? The team has never turned on me. The team turned on this lady. And she was trying to figure out how to continue to operate with these dudes, knowing all the horrible things they said about her. You know what I'm saying? They never turned on me. Everybody loved me, you know. I'm the black guy, you know what I mean? So I was the black guy in the white contacts, you know. We were on TV, people were trying to interview us, blah, blah, blah. But there was a lot of fallout for that lady behind the scenes. There was a lot of pain. There was a lot of things that she couldn't express because, you know, those things were going on, you know, and she had to like question, like, am I wrong for feeling this way type of thing. You know what I mean? So that was my problem with the pro-life movement. It wasn't so much me. I was like the golden child or whatever. It was the way they treated her. which is crazy because like I don't think they made the correlation because like some of these shows were like week on top of week. They'd have her made this giant deal about it, and then the next week it was like we should kill these women. You know, it's like what the fuck. Like it's like the connection wasn't there at all. You know what I mean? So yeah. The people who care the most usually have the hardest time getting through the storm. It's easier to try to pull someone out of the waves. Yeah, man. Yeah, but you know, it's what happened with my brother was my fault. I'm not gonna get into it, but I had a lot of situations, man, like being off an inch cost people, you know, saying their life. Like it's tough. So my brother, like that was people say whatever they want, you know what I mean? But yeah. But he's a secret male lover. Secret male lover. Yeah. Whatever you say. All right, guys. On that note, I'm gonna step out of here. Much love to all you beautiful people. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank everybody for coming, including Igor. Everybody's welcome here. Every opinion is welcome here. So thank you, Igor, for sharing your opinion on everything. Thank you, Ben, for coming. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, all you beautiful people, for coming through. I'm gonna try to make this a daily thing. It's a fireside. We're all hanging out. Everybody was happy, I hope. Are you gonna do movie night someday? Yes, I've got my movie guy. We're working on a movie, and I'll shoot a commercial so you guys can figure out how we can set those up again. Okay, so come through. Ben, thank you for coming. You need to come more often, and also at some point you have to get a phone number, Ben. You have to join the world and get a phone number. Love you too, Larry. Thank you so much. I think Sleep Token fans should be the gatekeepers of metal. All right. Women are just as messengers as men are massages. I don't think so, man. I really don't. You know? And if they are, it's like reactionary. But I don't know. I feel like I've seen more, you know? All right, Sean, thank you so much for hanging out, bro. And thank you for your words, bro. I'm looking at them. I'm considering them. We'll see. You know? We'll see. But thank you for that. Much love to everybody, including Igor. If you see him again next time, try to be nice to him. I mean, he is who he is. You know what I'm saying? Much love. Hey, Igor, be nice to Amy, though. All right? That's a red line. Be nice to Amy.